Hi there, welcome back to Overcoming with ACT. I'm Sean Osterlink, and thank you for joining me today. So, I'm going to continue with diffusion skills here, and I'm doing skills 5 through 8 on the handout that I give out to clients. These are in an arbitrary order, and some of these actually might be considered um, multiple skills, or you could lump them into some of the same skills. But anyway, I have them separated on my handout, so that's what I'm giving you here today. And so I'm going to go through these with you and talk this out. So, diffusion skill number 5. This is a phrase. You can change this up and make it your own, but what this phrase is back to the now. Back to the now. And so, what that phrase is all about is to remind yourself if you're getting caught up in your head, getting caught up maybe into something in your body, right? If you're experiencing something that's an overwhelming or persistent, unwanted experience, unwanted emotion or something, whether that's maybe a chronic pain that's getting to you or an overwhelming feeling going on, whether that's anxiety, sadness, grief, stress, whatever that is, that as you're getting pulled into that, fusion is happening, and a way to get defused from that is to remind yourself, I can come back into the present. I don't have to just be in this whatever it is that I'm getting pulled into. If that's not where I want to be in this moment, if that's not useful to me, if that's not workable to me in this moment right now, then I can remind myself I can come back to the now. And so you might try that right now as you're watching this video. You might tell yourself, you might think to yourself, back to the now. Sometimes when I'm having a therapy session, if my mind goes and wanders at all, right? I'm a human being. That's normal. That's going to happen. If my mind wanders at all, I'll tell myself internally in my head, I'll go back to the now, back to the now. You can combine that with in something physical, something like grounding yourself to this present moment. Again, the chair you're sitting in, the ground you're standing on, a breath that you may take. Could be a pen or marker that you're holding. You might squeeze something and feel that. That'd be another way to just connect with something around you as you tell yourself, back to the now, back to the now. The whole point of this is to not be in a tug of war with it, though, so it's not like, come on, I need to be back in the present, I need to get back into the now. I'm not fighting to do that. I'm just gently reminding myself there is a present that I could be in right now. Whatever's happening in the world, whatever's stressing me out, whatever's happening, even if it's stressful right here, even if it's something that is intense going on right here, I can still ground myself right back into the present moment. Okay. And so, okay, it's real simple. And so you can try that on. You can experiment with that. If a diffusion skill doesn't seem like it connects with you, or doesn't feel like it's working as far as helping you be more present, then try a different skill or word it in a different way. And be practicing these in different areas of life. I remember working with kids in elementary school, and we work on coping skill things together, and like no kid in the midst of being upset, angry, whatever about something, many kids don't feel like using the coping skills that us therapists and skill providers would be teaching them because they're in the middle of it. And it's hard to use our skills when we're in the middle of it. So the thing to do is to be practicing things when you're not too stressed out, when you're not pissed off and angry, when you're not overwhelmed with sadness or stress or whatever it is that you're experiencing, whether that's a elevated mood or a really down mood. But to practice those things in the day-to-day life, in the routines of life, and the small things and the smaller things that come up where it can be easier to apply these skills, or even just there's any time in your life where you can remind yourself to come back to the now. You'd be sitting here in this moment and practice doing it. You could be driving your car and listening to music and realizing Maybe your mind kind of went off into what you're going to go do, where you're heading off to next, or where you got going on in your day. And so that's a time where you can go, wait a minute, back to the now. You maybe grip that steering wheel and just notice what the road looks like in front of you and what you're hearing and smelling and seeing and feeling in contact with your body. All those things that just ground you back to the present, because the present is the place where we live at any given moment. This is where we do life, in the present. The past is gone behind us. The future does not exist yet, and we're always here in the present. Right? We're not beings that exist anywhere else but in the present. Even though the mind is a time machine that can take us any which way, the place that we're really living and existing is in the present. And so that provides us a lot of freedom, the flexibility, the psychological flexibility to respond to the things of life in just a more self-regulated kind of manner. And so, okay, moving on to number 6 here. I've got 2 phrases lumped in here and a little drawing to go with these, with 6, 7, 8. And so this says unhook or drop the shovel. So I've got a hook here and I've got a shovel here. And so like a synonym for fusion is for becoming hooked with an act. And so I often draw this out as a thought cloud. There might be some thought content there. There could be an emotion there. It's come along and it's hooked you. I like to draw a little person. They're like hanging from their shirt and they're like, wah! And you've been hooked there. And so the thing to do then is to unhook from that thing. Let's redraw this person. And this person has unhooked. There's our hook there. And they're observing. Raise their eyebrows some. They're observing, maybe giving a friendly wave there. They're unhooking, observing that hook, observing that thought of that experience going by. And so you're reminding yourself that you're hooked, that fusion is happening. You're going, I can unhook from that. It's just a little prompt, a little self-talk thing here, right? It's not positive self-talk, it's not negative self-talk. It's just I'm noticing this experience, noticing I'm hooked on this. And my mind went there again. Okay, unhook from that, Sean. Got a shovel here. Drop the shovel, okay. So the shovel represents digging. And so that process, that unworkable thing is happening, that thing where maybe I'm getting too caught up in whatever that experiential control sort of behavior is, whether that's a mental behavior. Think about it, worry about it, try to problem solve it, fix it. Have everything planned out for the possible things that I could worry about in the future, or get totally caught up in worrying about the things of the past and things I've done in the past, or things that didn't go right, or what should have been different, or whatever it is in the past. Think about it, or go to the compulsive or addictive kind of behavior and just lose myself to this behavior, whatever that may be, whether that's a behavioral acting out or compulsive behavior or addictive substance or something like that. Whatever that process is that is really not working and is actually a detriment to your life and causing you more suffering, that is represented as digging. Just digging yourself into a deeper hole, and to use any of those mechanisms that really aren't working is basically picking up this unworkable shovel that just digs you deeper. It's like going, I'll dig my way out. There's an episode in The Simpsons where they're digging a hole and they realize, how do we get out of this hole? And Homer says, I know, we'll dig our way out. And I love that. I always think of that with this. And so the sooner you can recognize a strategy is not working, whether that's mental, whether that's behavioral, you can remind yourself, I need to drop that shovel, my marker. I need to drop that thing. I need to drop that process. This process is not working for me. And I don't need a different process that also doesn't work. I don't need to just drop that shovel and pick up a different shovel that's also a thing that doesn't work. I need to disengage with the process entirely. I need to drop that. So that's a phrase you can try on for number 6. Again, try it on, make it your own. If there's a different metaphor that works for you, ACT is all about the metaphors. And so somebody along the lines thought of these, but it doesn't have to be this. Number 7 is, I've got written here, is that's a bully. Here's my little bully monster thing. Sometimes I'll have people draw this out when I work with kids, with adolescents and stuff. I might have them draw that out. And so this is to look at whatever this process is. Maybe this is something like your inner critic. Maybe this is that inner thing that says you need to be perfect, you're not good enough, that slams you for the mistakes you made and your flaws. Maybe it's that thing. Maybe it's this voice you've taken on, maybe from someone in your life that maybe it was from parents growing up, or a parent, or maybe it was from someone else important in your life that maybe exacerbated that negative inner voice, and it's become a monster of its own, or it's become a bully of its own. And so recognizing that, this is another example of like recognizing the process, which was one of the previous ones I talked about in the other video. And so to see that process as a bully of what's grown in the mind has now become a bully to you. And so stepping back and realizing there's a me that needs protecting. There's a me that needs to stand up for me. I can actually stand up for me against this thing. Actually, we're working on the sense of self, or working on concepts around shame. This is something that we'll talk about and that we'll try to work on building up, is that that part of my mind that can criticize and rail on me and be negative, doesn't actually, even though it's in there, even though it's part of me, it's not me, it's not the whole me. I don't have to identify with that part. I don't have to listen to that part. I can actually stand up for me. And so one way to do that is to recognize, like, when my mind gives me that negative junk, I can go, wait a minute, nope, that's the bully. That's my own mind bullying me. That's a voice that got taught, that got reinforced early on, probably in my life somewhere, that's showing up now. And that is just a process that became a monster of its own in the mind. You know what? That's a bully. I'm not going to listen to the bully. Right? It's there, but I'm not going to hash it out with him. I'm going to let him be there. All that bully wants is attention. I'm not going to give it that attention by engaging with it. I'm just going to go, you know what? There's a bully. And I see it there, and I'm not going to give it any more of that thing that it wants. I'm not going to hide from it because it's going to come looking for me. I'm not going to shove it away because he's sticky, and I'm not going to be able to get away from him doing that. I'm just going to go, okay, there you are. Here you are, Mr. Bully, Mr. maybe inner critic or whatever it is, Mr. Monster, and acknowledge that it's there. And then, again, we go from that acknowledgement, from that defusion step, getting that distance, to then into the other mindfulness things, like I demonstrated in the previous video. Number 8 is this phrase, don't buy that thought. I don't have to buy that thought. I drew a little shopping cart here. Look at my wonderful art. If you're ever my client, you'll get to experience my wonderful art here on the whiteboard. So, again, this metaphor, you might think of this in terms, maybe I'll do a mindfulness of this, but you might think of this in terms of like you're pushing your cart down the aisle of the grocery store, and the things along the sides of the aisle are the things, maybe all the thought content, all the feelings content, all the sensory content that could be going on. There's a lot of stuff there all around, and any of that is stuff I could tune into. And then the junk that you don't want to be there, the unwanted thoughts or experiences, the intrusions, those are things, man, those things might be just popping off the shelves at you. Maybe they're hopping off the shelves at you. Maybe I'm thinking of like Beauty and the Beast, and maybe a little can of something is hopping to jump into your cart. You know what? You can remind yourself, you're steering your cart away from it. I don't have to buy that thought. Maybe it hops into the cart. I don't have to put that on the scanner though. I don't have to pay for that. I do not have to buy that thought, whatever that thing is it's showing up. I do not have to buy that feeling, or maybe what that feeling is, maybe the thought connected to that feeling. Well, I feel this way. Well, this brings up some emotion in me, right? Emotions aren't facts. Emotions may be valuable. They give us information. There's certainly important aspects of our human experience. And yet the thought that I'm tying to that, or the meaning I'm tying to that emotion, or my reaction to that emotion, may not actually be the most helpful thing. It may not have to be that way. And so even though I can acknowledge that it's there, I can acknowledge these things along the walls of the aisle. I may even acknowledge I might be pushing along some things in my cart that I'm noticing. Yet I do not have to buy that. Just acknowledge that it's there. And yet just because it's there doesn't mean I'm buying it. Maybe it's in my cart at this moment, but you know what? That doesn't mean when I get to the register that I have to buy the things in my cart. Maybe I'm just going to let them be there. I'm just going to take the things that I am going to buy, and I'm going to leave the ones in that cart that I don't have to buy, and then I'm going to leave the store. And the more that I can go, you know what? That can be there, and I can hold it lightly, and I can go about the things that I want to go about, and I can hold these two things. I can have unpleasant experience, and I can also do what matters to me. That's like ACT in a nutshell right there. And so there's going to be a repetitive theme, because it's one thing to know it in your head, and it's another thing to actually do it. And I'm by no means like an expert or perfect at this stuff, and so making videos about it and getting to work with people on it in therapy helps reinforce that for me, because I'm never going to be perfect at this, and you're probably not either, and that's okay too. We can practice acceptance of that and willingness to still try to practice doing ACT and the concepts within ACT, even though never gonna get it right. Not gonna just mindfully, perfectly be like Zen going through life at all times, and that's okay. How do I still go? I can still do ACT in this moment. I can still come into the now in this moment, even though I was struggling here. And there's going to be situations or intrusions that are really hard to deal with, that might feel like the tug of war, where it's like, man, I keep trying to use diffusion. I keep trying to ground myself, but this thing keeps coming back. Okay, and the whole point here is to be flexible, not be perfectionistic, and not be pulled into a cycle where using the ACT skills themselves are causing you to try to get away from experience. Right? If you're going, man, mindfulness doesn't work, diffusion sucks, I tried to connect with my values and that didn't work, and I'm still just as stuck as I am, then that's okay. Because the goal is not to get rid of the negative experience. That's still opportunity to go, okay, I'm still trying to run. I'm still hooked. I'm using all these things, but the way I'm trying to use them is still keeping me in this tug of war. It's still keeping me hooked on that cloud. Even in that, if I'm trying to get away, it means I'm not practicing acceptance. So what can I lean into? What can I allow? What can I practice accepting in this moment, making room for? Whether that's a thought, a feeling, whatever. What can I not? What am I trying to control here? Whether it's inside of me, whether it's in relationships in my life, whether it's in the world. What am I trying to control that's just not working? That's just actually beyond me. I can't control that. I'm extending it too far. I can't control the way my own body feels, or whether my mind has a thought or not. And okay, so maybe I gotta bring it back there and start small and go, what can I accept in this moment? And what can I step back from and just observe in order to do that? Okay, so that's what I'm gonna leave you with today. If you're still with me at 19 minutes, I appreciate it. If you like this kind of content, give me a like or subscribe and all that good stuff. If you don't like it, leave a comment, give me a dislike, whichever. Thank you for showing up today to this video, and I'll see you next time.